going on, Bill?
It's all good. I'm here with the Fit Rev, Jeffrey Szakonyi.
Here we go. So
FitRevelation.com. Don't forget that.
don't forget, fitrevelation.com. So
we're here today to do a little interview,
okay.
and we're going to talk about the 4 things you must do to be successful in getting fit.
You know, the number one thing, and I learned this years ago, Bill, was that, you know, because of the things that I've been through, and we've talked about that, with some injuries from an accident and such, and the only way I was able to come back from that is I just chose to show up. And I knew that I had some things that I couldn't do things a certain way that other guys could do that didn't have the injuries that I had. So, but I always knew if I showed up, if I got to the gym, I would win, I would succeed. And so I think a lot of times people kind of put the gym as or their workout, whether it's home or gym, as something secondary or something, well, I'll get to it tomorrow, whatever. And you have to make it a priority. And you don't have to be there, you know, for 2 hours. That's a misnomer in my opinion. But you need to show up. And if you'll just mark that time off, if you'll just show up, if you show up consistently, you'll get the physique you want. But you have to show up.
And how about while you're there?
Yeah. And
the effort that you put in.
Yeah, and when you show up, and it varies for everybody because everybody's coming in at a different level. You know, the mom who's trying to lose baby weight, post having 3 kids, is different than the guy who's been in the gym for a long time and he's trying to take his fitness to the next level. The person coming off of an injury or a recent surgery, where they're going to be is different with the intensity and how they're training. But when I say show up, you want to come in with the attitude and the idea that you're going to do the work.
Yeah.
You have to do the work. Whatever that work is. It could be something as simple as you're just starting to learn how to do Pilates-based planking and body weight movements, but you've got to do the work. Or it can be like where you're at this point, where the volume's ramped up, you're putting on muscle, you're dropping body fat, and you come in, you grind, you're doing the work. It doesn't matter where that is for that person's level of fitness, but it matters that you show up, and when you get to the gym, you show up for yourself. And that's the ultimate point right there. You're showing up for yourself.
And you do your best effort.
And you do your best effort for that day.
Yeah.
And you will, number one.
And some days will be better than others.
Some days will be better. Some days you have to adjust.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you can get there and do what you're supposed to do to the best of your ability, you've got one more thing in that day that went well. And I often say to people that your gym time is your you time. You know, we're all pulled in all kinds of directions. Family, career, stressors of life, whatever that case may be. But when I'm working with people or when I'm coaching people at a distance, I tell them, when you get to the gym, the phone turns off, the texts turn off, unless you're listening to your music. This is about you time. This is where you get to be present. And if you think about your day, how few times in a day you're truly present and aware of who you are and what you are and why you're doing it, and as opposed to doing tasks or navigating relationships or all those kinds of things, you're present with yourself. Listen to your breathing. Listen, feel how your body's
meditative.
Yes,
right?
it's an, as you know how I think about it, it's an act of worship, just like anything else. Reading your Bible, praying, having a meal together.
It's the highlight of my day.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the highlight of my day. If I can pass it on to you,
Yeah.
got that into your mindset. Now it is the highlight of your day, and I try to teach that to people, or at least call them into the possibility that this is a point in your day where you're taking care of you. You know, Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Most people do very little things to care for themselves. And we have this idea that it's selfish to care for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not selfish if you're chasing a life of longevity, and if you're looking to maximize what God's given you in your body. It's not selfish because you're making yourself better for those people you do need to care about. Those neighbors, that family, those kids, that spouse, your boss at work, so you perform better. So yeah, showing up is number one. And when you go to the gym, get to the gym no matter what. And when you get there, show up for you. I go so far as I pray before every workout. I'm just thankful that I can do this. And so,
That's all really good. Now talk about nutrition, because when I first met you a year ago, you told me that over 50% of my success was going to be based on my nutrition.
yeah. And the further you get down the road, that percentage goes higher. You know, the fitness industry will say it's, you know, 10, 20% of what you do in the gym, and it's 80% of what you do in the kitchen. But I would say it's more, in the gym it's physics and kinesiology and movement pattern, but outside it's chemistry. And so I always have, I said to you, the work is done in the kitchen. When people come up to me and they say, how are you so lean? How do you look the way you are at 60 years old? I say, the work's in the kitchen. How many hours? They always ask the same question. You must be in the gym 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day. No, maybe an hour. If you and I are training together, we might be there an hour and 15 because we push pretty fast. But the work's done in the kitchen. And I don't mean that you have to spend, again, hours of time. You have to be aware of what your caloric budget is and the breakdown of that budget. So how many calories should you be eating for you to accomplish the goals that you're chasing after, and what is the macronutrient breakdown for you to accomplish those goals? And I don't really like to give people a meal plan because they generally won't do it, which is one of the issues I have when you're coaching somebody. But if I can teach somebody how to identify what foods are the right foods for them and the proper ratios of protein, fats, and carbohydrates, the preparation time in the kitchen becomes easy. And there are plenty of meal companies out there that do food prep for you. You can get that done correctly. I cook for myself every day, and I don't hardly ever have a meal that takes more than 30 minutes. I would say you probably about the same way. You know, for you and Bonnie, maybe 30 minutes, and you're eating healthy. It's just not that hard. But the work is definitely done in the kitchen, and it's difficult because we tend to crave, our body's been taught by these food companies to crave the stuff that's bad for us. What you'll find that's shocking is once you've cleaned that stuff out, you don't even want it anymore.
Another thing you taught me was right off the bat. You said the people who log their food tend to be successful, and the people who don't tend to not be successful.
Yeah. You know, at any given time,
some people think that's obsessive, by the way.
Some people do, but the people that are accomplishing what they want to accomplish, it's not obsessive.
I'll tell you what I learned by doing it was I had no idea how bad the majority of the food I was eating was for me. I had no idea the macro content of the various foods.
Right.
And once I started tracking everything I ate, it was eye-opening.
Yep.
It was an epiphany.
You know, I had a client a number of years ago who lost a pretty significant amount of weight, and he's in the tech industry. He's an engineer by trade, and he was so blown away that as he tracked how his weight just came down and how his muscle kind of went up some, he wasn't looking to, you know, build a big physique or anything. He just wanted to lose some of that middle weight. He'd been grinding at his job for a long, long time. And he said, it worked, like to a T, to the time that I told him he would end up with, almost to the day.
Yeah.
Because he was doing the workouts, and he was then tracking the food like I asked him to, and he would make adjustments that I requested of him, and he would give me the data every week, and it was almost to the day that he lost that 25, 30 pounds that he wanted to lose.
So the data that he gave you every week, what was that? Was that body scans? What was it?
Then it was just, tell me where your macros are at each day, or each week. Did you hit your caloric intake? Did you hit your macro ratios? And what was your weight at the end of the week? Because he was more interested in just losing body fat. Obviously, the way that I coach, you're going to put some muscle on anyway. He didn't want to be a bodybuilder. He didn't want to build a physique. But he wanted to just get the weight off. What's interesting is he's come back around. He had a lot of stressors at work over the past number of years, and then, of course, everything we've all been through with COVID. And he's put some weight back on, and then some. And he came back around, and I've convinced him to track again. And within 2 weeks, his body started transforming. He started dropping that weight again. It's like this. If you have a budget for your financial resources, you have a food budget every day. If you go over that food budget, you will be overweight. If you go too far under that food budget, you will not be able to lose body fat or gain muscle effectively. And everybody needs to gain some muscle.
We saw that with me, right? Because I
Yes.
wasn't eating enough carbs.
That's right.
And I started putting on body fat.
That's right.
Because I wasn't eating enough. Who would have ever thought that?
Because it causes all kinds of chemical stressors in your body, and a lot of women make this mistake. I've got a client right now we're working with that she's been at 1,200 or less calories for, I don't know, 8 years.
Wow.
And she goes, I keep getting more weight on. I'm like, yes, start eating more food. Now she's going, how do I eat all this food? We literally took her from 1,200 calories to 1,350. How do I eat all this food? And I got her off the carbohydrates, all the starchy carbs, and I got her back into some healthy proteins, some vegetables, and just eating a more well-rounded, and her macronutrients are basically in thirds. Let's just get you a baseline. And she's frustrated. But if she'll follow the coaching, it'll work.
It does work, because when I started with you, I was 26% body fat.
That's right.
And I was eating 1,200 calories a day.
Yep. And now you're eating.
And you took me up to 1,800.
Yep.
Now I'm at 2,000, and now my body fat's down under 14%.
That's right. And you put on muscle.
A lot.
Yeah, because you followed the program. You did what you're supposed to do. So we've got show up. The work is done in the kitchen. What's our third point? We have when you're being in the gym,
Give it your best.
give it your best. It's being effective and efficient when you're in your workout. So like I said, everybody's coming in at a different point. The way that I train or the way that you train is going to be different than the way that the mom who's trying to lose baby fat after baby's trains, or the guy who's been at his corporate job for so many years. But do your best to learn how to move correctly. I have a mantra: movement is healing. Almost every medical issue that people face, the medical profession will say, exercise. It is part of the answer for everything, because we were made to move. If you bought a brand new car and it's made out of metal, and put it in your garage for 30 years and never started it, it will never start, because it was made to run.
Yeah.
Our bodies were made to move, and when we have these sedentary jobs and these white-collar jobs, we're sitting in an office at a desk, and we're grinding all the time. You're hunched over a computer, and I see kids all the time now with their backpacks, and they're walking like this with all this weight, and their bodies are just becoming distorted. Movement, proper movement, will help them straighten out those postural issues. Proper movement will take care of the low back pain. Getting your core strong will take care of that low back pain. But you have to understand how to do it effectively and efficiently. It's not what you see on all the YouTube channels and Instagram influencers and stuff. You have to understand what a movement looks like. You have to understand what proper load, rep tempo is, whether it's a body weight or it's a loaded movement. You have to understand stability training, integrated stability training, which is part of the protocols, to learn how to get your stabilizing muscles and ligaments and tendons to work around a joint, so that you can actually want to progress. You can progress, but you have got to be effective and efficient in the gym. I mean, that's critical. And frankly, there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah, which is why we're doing these videos.
Which is why we're doing these videos. A lot of misinformation.
Well, this was good, and I bet you people will be looking
Did we
forward to
get
our
4?
next video. I think we probably got like 5, right?
Did we get 5?
So we said it starts in the kitchen.
This is what happens when I start talking.
Starts in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Show up.
Yeah.
Give it your best effort.
Right.
While you're there. Use proper form.
Effective and efficient.
Effective and efficient while you're working out.
Yeah. Let me think. What else is there for fitness, for you to achieve your best fitness?
And track your food.
You have to track. You have to track. But here's something even more important. Commit to yourself. You have to commit to yourself. You have to make a decision. Why are you doing this? Anybody who's come to me and said, I want to look better in a swimsuit, never accomplishes anything. Somebody that comes to me and says, I got low back issues, I want to get rid of my belly fat, I'm getting a little bit older, I want to live a longer life, whatever those reasons are, you have to determine that why.
Yeah.
And if simply going to the gym and changing your diet a little bit was the answer, then everybody would be in shape. But what do we see? We don't see that.
Here's the other thing I think. We get better at what we practice.
Yes.
So you may not, every day may not be a good day.
That's right.
You may not be on your diet every day.
Right.
You may not hit it. You may fall off the horse. But as long as every day when you get up, you get back on.
That's right.
And you give it your best shot again, you will get better.
You know, I have a philosophy of life that if I just do the best I can to have a really good day today, how I treat people, how I take care of myself, how I take care of my kids, how I do my work, how I basically help people and give them hope, I start stacking good days.
That's right.
And if you start stacking good days, you start stacking and building a good life. That doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges and stresses and all those kind of things, but it's just about, it's just about...
It applies to everything.
Yeah, it applies to everything. And I'll tell you what, for me, the gym and exercise has been the thing that has kept me going through the most difficult times of my life. And because you get in and you allow your body to just release these stressors and get them out and get them gone, and that, like I said, movement is healing.
I think you have to be easy on yourself. You have to be willing to forgive yourself.
That's right.
You can't hold yourself to such a high bar that you're never going to attain it.
That's right. That's right. I'm not going to ever be Mr. Olympia,
Right.
but I can be the best version of myself.
Right.
And the next person I'm training coming in may not, I say it all the time, you don't have to do what I do and look like I look. This is my journey.
Right.
How do I help you accomplish your journey? How do I help you figure out the path of where you want to get to and help you get there? I often describe coaching somebody in fitness and wellness and health and longevity. It's like you're at a river, and I've crossed that river so many times, I know where every one of the stones are right underneath the water. But you don't. So I'm going to take you by the hand, I'm going to step on the first stone, I'll go, it's right there, I'm going to step to the second stone, you're going to step on that stone. And we're ready, and pretty soon we're across to this goal. And pretty soon it's now a lifestyle. And if there's anything that I want to get across to people is make this part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because it pays dividends, huge dividends, long term. My kids know that I tell them all the time I'm going to live to 100. Unless the Lord decides to take me out of here earlier, but I have a goal of living to 100. So I'm doing everything possible now to achieve that goal. My goal is not to be, like I said, Mr. Olympia. My goal is to live to 100 and still be functional and moving and healthy and carry muscle and lean. And I think I can do it.
I think you can do it too.
There we go.
All right, Jeffrey, on to the next video.
FitRevelation.com. Come see us.